Shalom. This week's Sedra Shelach. There are a few underlying concepts in the Torah that lay the foundation for the entire Torah. And without these principles, many of the other Torah principles and mitzvos just simply couldn't exist. Examples of these super principles include God's existence, God's unity, and God's lack of physicality. Chief among the principles that allow mitzvos to make sense is the axiom that people can choose what they will and will not do during their lifetimes. Free will is not only a fundamental principle in the Torah, but the idea of God commanding people to fulfill 248 mitzvot and avoid 365 prohibitions only makes sense if people can choose whether or not to follow the Torah. Mitzvot are activities that should be pursued because they are vehicles to improving a person and strengthening their relationship with God. Actions that aren't mitzvot but fall into the category of optional reshut can at times be necessary, and they might help make the eventual fulfillment of a mitzvah easier, but they're not activities that should be pursued. In addition, since reshut activities, optional activities, aren't mitzvot, they have a tendency to distract people from mitzvot, making it more difficult for a person to fulfill mitzvot. Now, prohibitions, our third category, are activities that should always be avoided because they weaken a person's character and their relationship with God. In our Torah portion, God allows Moshe to send spies to examine the best path of attack against the inhabitants of Canaan. Rashi picked up on the strange conjunction of words used when God was instructing Moshe to send the spies. God does not command Moshe to send the spies, but rather says, Shlach lecha, he sent spies to you. Rashi explained God wasn't commanding Moshe to send spies, but rather giving Moshe permission to send spies if Moshe wanted to send them. Rashi wrote the implication of God not commanding Moshe and rather merely giving permission was that Moshe really shouldn't have sent the spies. Now, this reading of the pasuk and God's words is backed up by the events that eventually spiral out of control upon the return of the spies and their disastrous report. If we apply our categories of actions stated above, mitzvot, reshut, and prohibitions, to Rashi's lessons of God's allowance, it implies that it's best Moshe not send the spies, but it wasn't a prohibition or a mitzvah. It's clear then that sending the spies was a reshut, it was optional. This means Moshe didn't have to avoid it like a prohibition, nor did he have to fulfill it like a mitzvah. But Moshe should have recognized sending the spies was a reshut and should only be done if necessary. Moshe felt sending the spies was necessary because knowing all that's been written above, he sent them anyway. Free choice is a fundamental principle of the Torah, but unlike other fundamental principles, free choice deserves appreciation for its ability to improve a person and strengthen their relationship with HaShem. Moshe sending the spies is just another example of the significance of free choice in the Torah. This week's Torah portion provides a great reminder of the appreciation we should have for the free choice that we enjoy. Shabbat Shalom.